Hey folks, we are here again at Hidden Magic TV. We are with Miss Juanita, right?
I am.
All right, you excited to be here today?
I'm very excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, they're going to think I should relax.
I know, right? It's going to be great.
And Juanita is actually a stand-up Christian comedian.
I am.
Okay, or you just call yourself a comedian?
Comedian.
Okay.
Just happens to be a Christian, yes.
That's cool. Very cool. So, unlike some of the other guests, you actually grew up here in Florida.
I did.
Right.
Born and raised, St. Pete, Florida.
Okay, and what was that like? Now, were you one of those people that wanted to leave?
No, I've never wanted to leave Florida, really.
Really?
Never wanted to.
Because
No.
most people that I meet that are from here, they always say, if I can, as soon as they get an opportunity, they want to leave.
Oh, no. Why would you? I don't know why would you want to leave Florida.
You wouldn't.
The weather's beautiful. It's always green. You're just an hour and a half away from Orlando to go to Disney World. You know? As a kid, it's all you'd ever want.
Now, are you a big Disney fan?
I am. I really like Disney. That's my dream one day, to perform at Disney World.
I think it's pretty easy. Have you submitted?
No. That would probably make it easier.
You haven't submitted?
No, I
Really?
never have.
For the people that are not in entertainment, this, how we get work. We send stuff, submit ourselves, say, hey, look at me, book me for whatever. So Solicit, yes. And they always say we don't accept unsolicited material. That's what they say. But
Yes.
most of the time, it ain't true. Most of the time, it's not. It's not.
Inside information
Yeah.
here.
They like who they like. So that's pretty much it. So when you grew up in St. Pete, worked here, lived here, you worked your basic jobs, right? You worked at a hardware store.
Uh-huh.
And then you started a lawn care business, right?
I did.
So talk about, where did you get the inspiration to do that? Was it out of necessity or?
It was out of necessity. I did it part-time. I actually used to work for the power company too. And I was doing lawns part-time because I was doing my own lawn. It ended up a neighbor asked me to do theirs and so forth and so on. And I ended up doing quite a few lawns. And I liked that. And I was married at the time and had a little girl. And they had voluntary layoffs at the power company that I worked for. And the amount of money that you could get from the layoff allowed me to buy the equipment. And then I was able to be with my daughter and do what I needed to do. It worked out really well.
So you took your severance and you used that as seed money to start your lawn care business.
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what was the family thought process when it came to that?
I think they thought it was a little crazy walking away from a business, especially when it's, the power company, because you think that's such a great job. But I've learned so much over the years that it's not always great when you work for somebody else, because you're always under what happens to them, what happens to that business, what happens if they sell, what happens if they merge, So being able to be your own boss was something that was always very intriguing to me. And with lawn care, you are really your own boss, and it's hard work, but it's also very gratifying.
Is it?
So, yeah.
How did you go about getting your business? I know you're going to I got an idea what you're going to tell me, but
It was all word of mouth. It really was. The lawn business just grows on its own. Yeah. It's just what it does.
And I mean, it's year-round here in Florida.
It's year-round in Florida. Correct.
So it's not like a time where it's...
No, there was never snow blowing during the off-season. Yeah.
So there was no off-season.
No, there's no off-season.
So your whole entire business grew from word of mouth.
It did. It absolutely did. And because, and it's sad to say, but in every industry, it seems like if you're the person that's going to show up on time and you're going to be consistent and you're going to do a good job, that is huge.
Yeah.
It was always funny to me how many people would go, wow, it's Tuesday at 5:00 and you're here, like you said you would be.
Yes.
Yeah. So just by doing your job and showing up and being that person.
Woody Allen said, and I really think he, even though he didn't mean it for show business, but he said that 50% of success is showing up.
Oh, I completely agree.
And I've learned, in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of cats that gives us a bad name. Mm-hmm. They show up late, they show up drunk, they cancel at the last minute.
Right.
And it's like I've wondered when I've dealt with like corporate people, and we're dealing with contracts and we're getting trying to get stuff situated. Sometimes they would ask me questions that I thought was pretty common sense. And then, you start finding out some of these backstories of, well, we had this one person booked and, they didn't show. And then it's like you start hearing all these horror stories, and it's really hard to find dependable, reliable, solid people.
It really is.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing that kind of scares some business owners or people that want to do business owners, because if they're an employee, they just got to show up to their job. But if they're a business owner, they got to show up when they don't want to. And I think it's a degree.
Or whether they don't feel well, or what the weather is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's an uncomfortable part of accountability that they really don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So have you noticed, like, when you being in the entertainment business, that, there's a lot of people in the business, they're just flaky.
They are, and I don't get that, because it's your job. It is, word of mouth is huge. In any industry, even, doing lawn care, it was a huge thing, and it still is with comedy. It's like, and I always want to be the person, of course I'm a Christian, so I want to reflect that, my upbringing and my mom and dad, because they'd be really mad if, I did a lot of things these other comics do. But it's reflective of you. So if you're there and you show up on time, you do a good job, and especially in the entertainment industry, there are so many people that have allowed their position to get to their head, and I'm sure you've dealt with that. Just some of the things how they treat the people there that they meet.
Isn't that shocking?
Yes,
it's really shocking.
It is. Even some people that I've met, how they treat me, and I'm going, wait a minute, we're exactly the same. We're doing the exact same job. There's no reason. So
I've done some pretty big county fairs and state fairs, and some of these cats that had these one hit wonders in the 80s or the 90s, they still have this ego. And it's like, look, we're staying at the same hotel. You got the same cool off trailer that I got. So it's like, what is your deal?
Right.
You might get paid a little bit more money than me, but I've seen some of these people talk to, fair committee people, and it's like they're just like have this demanding type, like, well, this is supposed to be, and that's like, I don't think they understand it. A lot of these people that book entertainment, they're bombarded.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people that want our jobs.
Right. And it's like, they don't have to book you.
Mm-mm.
And some of these people with these bigger names, it's like they just really think, well, of course you're going to book me because you don't have, it's like, I am, our song was #1 for 2 weeks, and it's like
in 1942.
Yeah, it's like, come on, it's like, but they have these egos of, everybody's supposed to bow down and everybody's supposed to do this. So when you had the lawn care business and you transitioned, how did you transition into
from cutting to cutting up? That transition?
Yeah, how did you transition from that?
Actually, somebody else signed me up for an open mic night at a comedy club. So that's how my whole comedy career began. Yeah. Somebody
signed you up for open mic.
Yep.
And when did they tell you?
Well, I actually was doing, there was a little bit more. I was doing a dinner theater because I always wanted to be an actress. That's what I think, like every child wants to be an actress, and that's what I wanted. So I was doing an interactive dinner theater at the Bellevue Biltmore Hotel a long time ago. And it was during the intermission times, you would go around from table to table. It was an interactive improv comedy. So that improv was what I really liked. I would stay in character, but you would be that character and they could ask you questions because it was a murder mystery. And that part was what I really enjoyed. And it was one of the other cast members that said, you need to do comedy. And they signed me up, right? And I was scared to death, petrified.
Were you?
Oh, yes. Complete.
So how did you get over the fear?
Well, being someone that does, acting and liking that, I just wrote a 7-minute monologue, basically, just of my life, of who I was, and memorized it word for word, and that's what I did. But there was a comedy contest that night. I won the contest. And
so you got laughs?
I got a lot of laughs.
You got laughs. That's good.
Yeah, so it was really good, but it was very intimidating. A lot of people don't understand that because they're like, oh, stand-up is the same thing, but it's not, because when you're an actress, you are portraying somebody else's part.
Right.
They wrote it. It's a character, it's their character, if they don't like it, they didn't like that,
Right.
But when you do comedy, it's you've written it, it's you up there, it's a completely different. Completely different atmosphere.
So when you did 7 minutes, was it 7 minutes?
It was 7 minutes.
It was 7.
Yeah.
So you did your 7.
I did my 7. It probably did go a little bit over.
Really?
Yeah, because I was hesitant for the laughs. I was pausing for the laughs. And in fact, that competition put me through to the Florida's Funniest Person semifinals. So my second time ever on stage, I'm in the semifinals. Okay. Crazy. So then I finished in the top 5 out of 12 and went to the finals.
Right.
So at the finals, people are like, who is this girl? Where did she come from? And I did really good in the finals. I was in the top 5, and they said I would have done better, but I went overtime because I knew nothing about comedy. Yeah. So, and if you don't know, when you're doing comedy, when you get close to your time, when your time limit's up, they will flick a light at you.
Or hold a lighter up.
Right, hold a light, and then you're supposed to say, okay, hey, you got 30 seconds left or a minute left, whatever. Well, I didn't know what that meant. Well, I was beyond 7 minutes, and they're flicking the light, which means get off the stage now, right? I thought it meant I was doing a great job. And I was like, yay, they like me. Because look, they're like flicking back there, So I went overtime. I did like 8 minutes or so I got docked. Because they said, if you hadn't done that, you would have done better. But I had no idea. So looking back now, it's funny.
That's not all that terrible because there are times that, when I've seen, doing clubs, a new person comes up and they have like a legal pad, right?
Right.
They have a legal pad and they've got pages. And I'll look at their pages and I'll say, how much time you got? So I got like 5. And I say, okay. And they get up and they really have like 2.5. And they don't know that because they just speed through their material.
Yeah, they go real fast.
And they speed through it and they get 2.5, and now they got this time that everybody's like, okay, now what are you gonna do? So it's cool that it's cool that you kind of went over. So you did that as your second gig, right? Now, how long have you been doing stand up?
Now, full time for 4 years now. So my first open mic was 8 years ago.
Now,
I didn't do anything with it the first few years at all.
Why not?
Because I had my daughter, and she was in college and then got married, and so it was just there was just a lot of stuff, and it wasn't I just did every now and again. The club would call me and say, hey, can you do 10 minutes here or 10 minutes there, or there's another contest. And so I think I was on stage 10 times the next year, maybe, if that. So
it's not bad though.
Yeah, but I never.
Yeah, because we did it. That gig was in Port Charlotte. We did, right? Mm-hmm. You remember that little?
Yeah, for the Zone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that wasn't the Zone. It wasn't the Zone.
In Port Charlotte, the first time you and I worked, it was the Comedy Zone.
No, it was not.
It wasn't.
It was not the Comedy Zone. Because
it was at the Stewart for Port St. Lucie.
It was at the Civic Arena.
Yeah.
Right? And it was not the Comedy Zone.
Really?
I can't even remember the guy's name that booked that booker.
Oh, I think I know. Larry Silver.
Larry, now, was that the Comedy Zone?
No, it was not the Comedy Zone.
Okay.
Groucho's.
Okay, yes. Was that a Groucho's club?
It was a Groucho's club.
God, is he still working? Is he still booking?
Port St. Lucie Civic Center.
Is he still booking?
Mm-hmm. He still does.
Is that still there?
I think someone else is booking that room now.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Are you working clubs much?
I do. I actually do. But,
really?
Mm-hmm. I do a lot of corporate gigs, though, because I'm completely clean, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
A wink. So, so it's good. I do a lot of churches, but I still do my comedy clubs.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't, I've gotten away. I still will do an occasional club. I got 3 people that'll call me for that. And I pretty much do that to stay in their graces, but I'm booked enough with other things, also being clean, that I don't have to do clubs.
Right.
And that was. Have you ever met the Fat Doctor? Never met the Fat Doctor?
Yeah. No.
Now he worked the Zone. He worked the Zone a lot.
Oh, okay.
And when I was starting out, that was one of the first. Yes, there's a comedian called the Fat Doctor. Hilarious, slaughters a room, kills. He's X-rated, but he slaughters. And Doc, when we were sitting around talking, and he pulled me to the side, and he was like, he said, look, you're starting out, and he was the one that really gave me the blueprint for what I had. Because I was just doing just straight magic. And he said, you need to come up with a show that...
So now you do gay magic?
Huh?
You said straight magic.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, I couldn't let it go.
Jesus. Okay. All right. So anyway, comedian. So anyway, yeah, he told me to create something that could make them laugh, but because he compared to another entertainer, which is Amazing Jonathan. And Amazing Jonathan, he said, Amazing Jonathan is parodies magic. He doesn't even really do magic anymore. And he said, so if you could do something that could make them laugh, but at the same time, still, yeah. He said, you'll have something that people will have. Cool. And I start working on it, and he said, now you got to do it clean. And he said, if you work clean, you can go anywhere. You won't be limited to clubs. And that was the best thing that he's told me. And anytime I talk to a young comic or somebody starting out, and I say, look, write clean. Mm-hmm. Get in the habit of writing clean. Because you're not going to be limited to just doing comedy clubs. You'll be able to do other things. Yeah. Yeah. So when you knowing that and being clean and being able to market yourself, what would you tell someone out there that is thinking about, there's a few. I know there's got to be a few. And these are probably the people that go to comedy clubs about once a month. Right, and they feel like they're sitting in that chair.
I could do that.
Yes, that is what they think. Yes. That's what they want to
Or their friends are telling them, you could so do that.
Yeah. So what advice would you give them?
Don't do it. No.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. Do it. You never know. Sign up for an open mic and try it. Really try it. But know what you're going to do when you go up there. I think a lot of people have this, wing it mentality, and once you get up there and the lights hit you, and it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, you freeze.
Than being around your friends when you're the life of the party. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So and it can be intimidating. So definitely know what you're going to do when you get up there, but do it, have fun, try it. But I've told people about being cleaner, and a lot of them are like, yeah, okay, but they don't do it. They don't take that.
It's easier to write sex jokes. It's easier to go.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
It's easier to go political. It's easier to,
right. Well, I know that even with my humor, it's like it is all clean. But I know that I could take one joke and kind of flip it just a little, to get a laugh from this crowd or that crowd. But I won't compromise who I am.
Well, and I think it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So you're writing a book.
I am. I've been writing it for a while now.
Can you want to talk about? Writing?
It's really funny because I don't know anything about books. I'm not a big reader. In fact, I even have the Bible on CD. So I'm like, Lord, you got the wrong person about a book. But it's starting to come together. It's funny because as a comedian, you write a lot of jokes, and sometimes those jokes